Hi everyone, it's Kristen. So today, well, in this video, we're going to be talking about Storm 3. I mean, I wasn't planning on picking up Storm. Just I was planning on just focusing on Uncanny X-Men because for one thing, money, time, those sort of things. But after reading it, I'm like, well, really tempted to pick up Storm as well. Um, Yeah. So first, I love the cover. I love it's like super dramatic and it's just I love that, Rogue is on the cover with Storm. It's one of my favorite recent covers, honestly. Okay, so I'm glad they explained this, like had a little recap because of course, like I didn't pick up Storm from the beginning, issues 1 and 2, so I don't know what's going on. So basically, she got radiation poisoning helping civilians after a plant explosion, and she's dying. So she goes to Brother Voodoo for help, and he basically makes a bargain with an old ancient spirit to cleanse her of the radiation poisoning and all illnesses. And he says it's interesting that even though you're like the healthiest person on earth right now, you still have like these death sprites swarming around you. And then he goes into the price of the cure is that you can't use your powers for 7 days, which I'm like, 7 days, that's nothing. That's nothing for Storm. She went like years without powers thanks to Forge. So, that's pretty much nothing. And he's like, you need to, stay with me and my students at the Strange Academy so that we can protect you. And she's like, I appreciate the offer, but I'm fine. And so here's this chapter 3, Impending Doom, which we know means Doctor Doom. And I guess this is all a ruse because Wolverine is like, I smell something and it smells like Nimrod. At first, I thought, oh my gosh, is that, because Storm has been cleansed of everything and now smells different. And he thinks that smells like is similar to Nimrod's, but it's all like a ruse, I guess. And so Rogue's like, "Are you sure about that?" And Wolverine's like, "He's in the house." And she's like, "What about the kids?" And Gambit's like, "They're sleeping in." And like I love this panel of Rogue's eyes and expression, like close up. Like I love Lucas Warnick's work. I mean, it's just so pretty. And Rogue, rushes to the house in order to protect the kids. And Rogue's like, get away from them. And Storm's like, you know, she's like, well, I assure you, if they're as precious as I hear, your threats won't sway me, like as in stay away from them. And Rogue is so happy to see Storm, and she's like, Storm, why didn't you call? She's like, I did. Remy wanted it to be a surprise. And so, basically it was all Gambit's idea. So they wanted to surprise Rogue, so hence, like I said, the whole ruse and stuff. Because at first I was like, Nimrod, why would he be there? Okay, and I love this panel, where they're all embracing. It's so sweet. This is what I missed in X-Men 97. Because in the original animated series, Storm and Rogue had such a bond. You saw them, shopping, going horseback riding, like just talking, just they had this bond. And same with her and Gambit had a bond. There's that when Bishop comes from the future and says, "I'm here to root out a traitor," and it's Gambit. And Storm says, "I know you better than anyone," to Gambit, and she even looks at Rogue, and Rogue is just silent. So I missed this in X-Men 97, this bond, because yeah, they pretty much just ignored the Rogue and Storm friendship for Jean and Storm, which I'm like, okay, but that's not, to me, not a continuation of the original animated series. And also when Gambit, uh, spoiler alert, I'm about to say something, so if you don't want to hear it, just like skip through like a minute or so. So when Gambit died in episode 5, yeah, Storm, when she heard the news about what happened on the island on Genosha, she didn't rush home. She didn't even go to the funeral. I feel like Storm from the original animated series would have gone to the funeral and, asked about Gambit when she came back or said something about Gambit. Just like I said, just I missed that in X-Men 97. I felt like they rushed through so many stories, trying to cram it all into the what, 9 episodes? Was it 9 or 10? That they just missed out on like character development. Like another thing is like Morph. Okay, so when did he like I want to know more about when he decided to come back to the X-Men, like how he healed to that point where he came back to the X-Men. And granted, the original series didn't explain that, but I wish the X-Men 97 had gone a little bit into that at least, but pretty much they didn't, and he was just there for cameos, which I loved the cameos, don't get me wrong, but at the same time I'm like, well, I need more from him. Like I want to know more like about what was going on, what happened with him and stuff. Anyway, sorry. Tangent, you know me. So back to here. So this kind of goes into like, you know, day 2 without mutant powers. So you see Storm and Wolverine sparring, and she's like, "You've gone soft, Logan." And he's like, "Yeah, like feathers." And pretty much anyone can see kind of. And then you see day 3 without powers, day 4, day 5, just sparring. Because of course, Storm, when she lost her powers, um, put in a lot of training to be able to take care of herself without her powers. And of course, all the X-Men have, you know, training so that they can deal with situations like this where they kind of necessarily can't use their powers. Anyway, so, Wolverine is like, stay down, don't get up. You know the line, I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do isn't, and doesn't get to finish. And pretty much anyone anyone can see where this is going, honestly. And Storm's like, you of all people should know I don't stay down. And then you see them, you know. I mean, because like I said, anyone that's read the X-Men, a lot of the X-Men knew where was going because they've always like flirted and always had this chemistry, and they've kissed before and all this other stuff. So pretty much anyone knew where that was going. So and then we see day 6 without powers, and there's Storm and Wolverine's next to her. Um, so this is probably early morning. So this giant eye is like, "Hello, are you Aurora Monroe, the one called Storm?" And you find out it's this giant raven, and he says, God Emperor Doom, ruler of Latveria, sorcerer supreme, and soon conqueror of the earth, he wishes to, discuss the mutant situation with you. He wishes to discuss, his plans for what he wants to do with mutants. And, he's like, few have had this honor that you are about to have, having, a conversation with him. And what I find funny is that Storm says, huh, third time's the charm, I guess. So, okay, she says that because let's see, way back in Uncanny X-Men 145, she has dinner for the first time with Doctor Doom. And this is because he basically Arcade has kidnapped some of the X-Men and she's there and she knows that Arcade is actually with Doom and so she asked him to, basically give him up so that she can free her friends. And basically she learns that Arcade's actually not a prisoner but a guest there and so lashes out and I mean, this is a really good storyline. I'm not sure if I did this one already or not. So, she lashes out and she turns Storm into like a living statue and makes a robot of her. And then you see in the issue after that, it's interesting that it's called Rogue Storm. Get it? Rogue Storm. At the very end of it, she, frees herself from the statue, and at the very end of it, she earns Doom's respect, which they've tried to say, or they have said that, oh, that wasn't actually Doom that did that. It was a Doom bot. But I still say, even if that is true, it seems like the Doom bot is still an extension of Doom and how he feels because, like Storm says, this is the third time. The second time was more recent in the Karakoa era. Um, and so now they're going to meet again. And like anyway, so basically she talks to the bird and she's like, kind of, I need a ride. I'd prefer not to use my powers. When does he want me there? If it's tonight, then yeah, I'm gonna need a ride. Because of course this is day 6, where she can't use her powers. And the bird is just like, ugh, of course. Everyone, if I knew this was coming, everyone wants to ride on my back and fly. So I'm not surprised, but I don't like it. But so I'll let you get packed and then we'll leave. And so Rogue and Storm talk, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you slept with Wolverine," and Storm's like, it just it was done. I'm not proud of it. It was a spur of the moment sort of thing. Um, and then she says, basically, I need a dress and concealable weapons because she explains the whole situation. And, she can't use her powers. And Rogue's like, oh, well, but what about Logan? And she's like, well, I don't know. I mean, Storm says, I put myself on this path. I announced it to the world. I need to see it through by myself, you know. So that, for myself. So that means I can't stay with you or Logan. Um, and Rogue is just like, Doom doesn't really sound like a good idea. And Storm says, oh, Victor's harmless mostly. And Rogue says, well, that's because he has this huge crush on you. And but what if that's changed? You again, you can't use your powers. Well, and Storm says, well, if he really is trying to conquer the world, then we need to know what's going on. And plus, as the new Sorcerer Supreme, I'm sure the Avengers would like to know more about him and his plans. You know, I need to do this basically. And Rogue's like, well, okay, I trust you. Just, be careful. And so it talks about how Storm, is every bit a goddess. But there's one thing that's human, and that's her heart. And because she even says, in there, I'm sorry, Logan. And he says, so Storm's gone, huh? And you notice what Gambit's wearing? A crop top. So a nod to X-Men, another nod to, I guess, X-Men 97. So there's Doom to be continued. Okay. So, now I'm curious as to what happened. So I looked I looked for Storm 4 and I cannot find it anywhere. It's like sold out everywhere. So, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm just not meant to continue reading Storm because I want to know what happens and yeah, I can't find it anywhere. So, maybe I'm just not meant to. Oh, so I love the fact that Storm attracts all these like super powerful villains that like have a crush on her and want to make her like their bride, the ruler beside them. Because also in Uncanny X-Men 159, you see that she catches Dracula's eye. And I'm pretty sure I did this comic telling you in conjunction with Bloodstorm, telling you the origin of Bloodstorm. This is where it comes from. So yeah, she catches the eye of Dracula, and she is one of the few mortals that has ever broken his spell. And so they leave also, with mutual respect. So it's just interesting that Storm, well, I mean, she's pretty amazing. She's this, goddess-like figure, has immensely powerful, beautiful, model-esque. So it makes sense. And, powerful men are attracted, I guess, to powerful women in a sense. I don't know. But I think it's funny that Storm attracts all these, the attention, all these powerful, like supervillains, male supervillains. So anyway, like I said, I guess I'm not meant to read Storm, continue it because I looked everywhere online trying to find Storm 4, couldn't find it. So maybe that's just a sign that I'm not meant to keep read, to continue reading it. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully Uncanny X-Men comes in soon so I can read the last part of the Raid on Grey Malkin and find out what happens. So anyway, I hope you join me in the future for more videos, and I hope you've been joining me for my like my Marvel stamp series. I don't know. I just think it's fun to look back into the past at, things that have happened and what was popular then, what the mindset was then. I think it's just really interesting. So I've been really enjoying it. So I hope you will join me for those videos and as well. Until next time. Bye.